talk to him about Dota, and he seems just so interested.
Genuine.
Yeah,
oh, man.
He can't get enough of him. Like, he'll ask, like, okay, why do you think this matchup is the way it is in terms of, like, hero matchups? Mm-hmm. And I'll just kind of give him 1 or 2 word answers, you know, like, it's because of this and this. And he's like, and he just, like, kind of looks at you inquisitively, and you're like, oh, well, okay, then I guess I'll explain it in depth, because nobody really cares too much about, like, the nitty-gritty details, but he really wants to know, like, every little thing about it.
You can tell he wants to soak it all in. He wants to know. He wants to learn. I'm kind of the same way. I want to make sure I take everything in. I can retain it a bit. That's why I write down my notes. Yeah, it could be easy enough to just go in there and copy-paste everything.
You're too handsome for this kind of stuff.
I don't know. I'm just the face after all, and I say a few Dota things, hopefully a funny wit and, you know, witty bit, and people will chuckle a bit, but I have you by my side to tell me all the smart things about Dota.
Man, that was a really warm touch. You know, sometimes you'll get...
It's because I'm sweating so much right now.
I thought it was like a nice one.
So let me just wrote that right there. All right, here we go. Let's give it another shot, Blitz. Let's hop back into the game. The new draft has been complete, or the secondary draft, but away we go. Take 2. Whoa! Here we are once again. Last time we saw NAR heading towards the north. We anticipate maybe they'll look to go in the jungle and block out some of those camps. You already see him building up all those wards. And for the side of complexity, maybe a bit more attention to the top rune. How important is it exactly that you get off on the right foot here? And do you think it's also important for NAR to be able to get in that jungle maybe, throw off complexity's game a bit, block out some of those camps? Could be very big value for the Sand King to really have a strong start and something to fall back on to get to that Blink Dagger faster.
Yeah, you just pointed out exactly. It's that you're just trying to slow down the Sand King. You want to make sure that he can't stack the cap closest to him, that big one that they're actually assaulting right now, because it makes it easy for him to rotate. He just stacks, and then he can pressure the lane, right? Because he's got nothing to do in between. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, 12-2 record for the Dazzle, recently being very highly praised. And the other nice thing about that is he's not one you obviously want to be throwing out your first ban to. Maybe unless you're playing Secret. Puppy has definitely been on the Dazzle train for quite a while now, but he'll usually end up slipping through, and one team will end up grabbing it. In this case, Complexity first picking that Dazzle. So we'll see if they can kind of keep that stellar record going. And their matchup here in this first game of a best-of-3. Reminder, everyone, the winner of this series guaranteed their trip to Seattle to be at TI, whether it be in that invited slot or competing in the wild card here. So as we move on in, and by the way, I don't have any game sounds. I'm just going to put that note out there. Do you?
Nope.
Okay, so we can't hear much right now. Hopefully that's something that will be adjusted. Just wanted to casually throw that out there. But here we go. Moon Meander going to be representing the Undying in the off lane as it stands. Along the mid lane, a lot of congestion here. Swindle Melons, no surprise. He'll be repping that Warlock in the mid lane. So as, you know, the mid player here, Blitz, the Warlock matchup taking on Korok and his Leshreek. What kind of impressions are we seeing here? Hani said that it's very crucial to maybe get that ward up there, but that was when we thought it was going to be the Viper, but it's the Lesh.
It's so much easier for a Leshreek to farm if you think about it. He's got 2 mechanisms that can both harass and farm at the same time. Typically, you only have one hero that has one offensive ability, right? Mm-hmm. If you think, for example, Storm, you've got the Remnant, and that's about it that you're going to really use the CS, right? Like, the Overload using it isn't very efficient, and you can't really harass with that tool unless you're playing against a melee or something like that. So when you're playing against a Leshreek, you have to A, watch out for the stun, B, watch out for the lightning, and he can kind of flirt between using both of them, whereas Warlock is so much more straightforward. He has no, like, real farming mechanism. He's not really going to throw down a nuke to really get up in your face or something like that, but his base damage is fantastic. The right click animation is really good, and Shadow Word is so annoying to play against.
Early movement coming in from Fly. Oh, not going to be able to get the opportunity for that lead in Burrow, but already you can see the aggression. MSS utilizing those piggies. Got the double of them out, could help with the CS or harassment like we see there. Korok did already have to tap into that early salve, leaving him with just a shared tango or 2, but you could say the same for now. Swindle down to just that 1 shared tango, and he's already pretty low, so it seems like Lesh is doing a pretty nice job being a bully, leading things up from here. But of all these 3 lanes, which do you think is going to be the most important for which team to really be able to thrive? Now, might have to hold that thought. We're going to lead in with an early disruption, but this just might be a bit of harassment, and it is. They're just going to zone back Moon Meander as much as possible.
I think the mid matchup matters the most, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. I think if the Warlock has a really good start, it's hard for him to get slowed down. But if you're able to solo kill him, out-farm him like crazy, stop his farm, then I think the hero really starts to lose its usefulness, right? Because, yeah, you rely on the rock, but you also need things like the Ags to be able to do anything.
There's a disruption. They already got the 1 poison stack. They have a second one right there, and I think this is going to be our first blood. A desperate tombstone, not going to be enough. It's Ush who will strike first. Oh, and of all the people to get that first blood bonus, it's going to be the Viper. This is a very strong start for them. Moonmeander is going to have to come back into a bit of a struggle right here. Is he going to need a little bit of help, or is this just going to be NAR's lane here from here on out?
I think he just has to play a little bit more safe, because I think Moon as a player kind of really wants to contest, get in the face, and try to win his lane. But I think in this lane, he just kind of has to sit back, be patient, and trust his tri-lane to win.
Ooh, Fly's got the DD, but can't quite get close enough again for the burrow. Putting a lot of attention, of course, to maybe building up some stacks early on. Now, they didn't roam into the woods. They didn't block out any of those side camps over there. They do have a little stackaruno right there, but, you know, not anything for him to really thrive. So it seems like Fly's being a bit more attention to the actual lane and maybe trying to draw some blood here. So, but this is also very uncharacteristic from NAR, at least from the games I've personally gotten to cast and witness, is that MSS is not on his own. They want to make sure that he has a good, strong start, enough that they're going to be putting the Witch Doctor here. Is it that the case, or do they feel confident enough in this bottom lane that, you know, the Shadow Demon and Viper will be able to get enough done on their own?
I think that they feel confident enough that a Shadow Demon and a Viper is enough to harass out the Undying. And the Witch Doctor is one of the better aggro supports, if you think about it, right? Because if you run at him, he throws out the cask, he has the heal as well to kind of save his guy. He's never really out of position. He's got good animation to harass with as well. For example, if the Witch Doctor just decides to completely leave the lane, or I mean the Dazzle, then the Witch Doctor can just kind of get in the face of the Weaver, start to deny and harass and stuff like that. So it works really well as an aggro dual laner, I guess. And it's actually the most interesting for me, this mid matchup and how Korok plays it. If you notice, every single time he does the same thing. He forces up the wave. Before the wave dies, he moves forward as the wave is dying. And so Swindle doesn't really see it coming in time. And he plays on top of his hill at all times. And so he's just trying to zone out Swindle as much as he can. Like, look how he moves forward with the creep wave every single time. Like, I've been watching. He does this every single time. And it's kind of unique to him.
And look at him go. Continues that bit of harassment, lands the stun. Another Lightning Storm is going to force out the heal from Swindle, taking down a good chunk of his mana. And if you didn't see it there, as long as NAR are able to get that first blood, they have a very impressive, I believe it was 9-1, 9-2 record. So based on stats, could be very good for him. We'll have to see. But let's look at the long term here, Blitz. And we go into late game, I can't help but feel like Complexity would have the edge with the Weaver. You look at NAR, it's a Viper and a Lesh, but then again, it's the new Lesh. Octarine Core, get him a Bloodstone, and he could be a big late game pony here. Oh, look at this.
I think that NAR have the better late game lineup because Lesh and Viper, it's a dual core against essentially a single core. But,
yeah.
Oh, and in the lane.
Uh-oh, the Rock is down, and they have Fly nearby with the Burrow.
They need
looks
to get
like
this kill right now.
Korok
This
might
is so
be in
big.
trouble, and they will get that kill. Yeah, so, good setup with that first ultimate from Swindle.
And you know how that was? It was because Korok, every single time when he pushes out the lane, he kills his way faster. He runs past the tower to chase the Warlock out of farm, and it's a good thing because if you look at the Warlock CS, it's 14. And if you're wondering why it's so low, it's because he forces out the wave, he pushes with his wave, and he's always on top of the hill, making him really susceptible to ganks. So what I was going to say is the Sand King should just rotate at level 4. When the Warlock hits level 6, just go for the gank because it's always going to work against a player like that.
Good read of that pattern to really punish the Korok and doing a bit of the same thing over and over again. And with that rotation from Fly, they're able to get their own return kill and get themselves on the board. So very nice for them as we look over the levels. No surprise. Lesh and Viper both at the top of level 6. Swindle is able to get his own level 6. It's 5 minutes, about 6 minutes in. And even though Moonmeander was brought down once, he's still been able to string together enough XP to about to be his own level 6 as it is. So enough talk about level 6, as level 6 has come out for everyone right now. Are we going to see a bit more team fight action come out from one side or the other? I mean, though the Rock is already down now for COL, but as NAR start getting things online, do you think they're going to get more action-packed and the rotations are going to come out, or are they going to be more driven to just take advantage of their lanes and continue to farm?
I think NAR will go for more mid-game gank timings with this.
Oh my, Courier taking down the Dire. Courier goes
that's
down.
Really surprising.
Oh, very unfortunate.
Yeah, I think if I'm Complexity, you're a little bit too timing based, right? Like, you can't move before Fly gets his Blink Dagger. You can't move before Swindle has his Rock up. So I think that they're a little bit more static with how they're going to do things, whereas Na'Vi can kind of get aggressive on the map whenever they want. Like, they have a Shadow Demon plus a Leshrac. That's one of the more stable combos to be able to play with. And once Beastmaster gets his ultimate up, it's a really low cooldown.
There's the stun, there's the lightning. Korok, even though he was brought down previously, is confident to know that the Rock's not quite there and he can continue to do what he's been doing up to this point and
Look at him,
get the hell back.
He just forces in. He's even died once and he's still forcing past the creep wave because he's just trying to secure that the Warlock doesn't get CS. That too.
he's just so swollen, he's a man. He's like, I don't care about that. It's not going to affect me in my game, so I'll go ahead and keep being assertive like I like to do. So all that meanwhile, though, that means that Fly continues to farm up in the nearby jungle. Not the highest net worth right now, but once he's able to get that Blink Dagger underway, that's when the action could really start.
I think
here.
they're trying to make a move again because they know that Korok plays back, or he plays up, and it's a level 3 stun, so they should be able to set this up.
But bottom lane, early Viper Strike going to be going out on the moon. He's going to try to go for the immediate TP, but that is going to be very unsuccessful. He ends up going down the second time this game, and this works out even the better. Again, it's Ush who picks up the kill, and he's king of the net worth right now because of it.
Yeah, and I feel like Fly should have just tried to go for the wraparound on Korok if he was going to go for this, and Swindle's contesting this rune right now, but there's 2 heroes there this time.
Face first Coconut, early Maledict, but probably just a level 1 at that. And no rune for you. Korok is going to quickly deny that, and Complexity going to have to walk away with nothing right there. So early pressure from both sides seem to be kind of in tune with each other as far as what they want to get out of this game. But as far as the lane matchups in the early game, I would have to say, obviously bottom going very well for NAR. Mid, you might be able to make the case either way with the early kill onto Korok. But what do you think? As far as lane advantage, is it a strong start more for NAR just because of the multiple kills coming out on the bottom? I mean, they are also not losing much in their off lane. MSS is building up quite a bit of farm. He should have Primal Roar any moment now. He's about level 5.5 here.
I think this laning phase is okay for both teams. Like, they're going to be satisfied with how mid went, but Complexity is going to be really happy that their Warlock wasn't pressured whatsoever by the Shadow Demon, and they're going to be really happy that they got the first blood off, and the Sand King is just kind of happily farming, right? Like, he went for 1 gank attempt, it worked. He goes to the second one, yeah, that's a bit of a time investment, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because nobody's going to pressure him in the jungle, so he's going to have time to farm anyways.
We've seen this before. Rock Burrow, this time the upheaval, he's going to desperately dish out the ultimate. He's going to try to run away, but there's nowhere to go. He's walking through molasses. He can't make it away. Now they will get the return kill with the help of Chad there on the Witch Doctor to take down Fly on his Sand King as the disruption comes out defensively to help out Chad, but can he run away from this big rock monster? He can. Barely alive right there at the end. They end up trading 1 for 1, but have to say it's a bit for the better of Complexity as they take down Korok once more.
Oh, definitely. And I think the Warlock Golem, I'm not entirely sure. I think it hit the creeps once instead of prepping the hit for the Witch Doctor, so I felt like they should have gotten the double kill there, but it's one of those minor things that don't really matter too much. It does really benefit Complexity, though, because Korok, like we said, he's a snowball type player. Like, he needs a really good start, whereas Swindle isn't. Like, Swindle's okay with kind of trading farm, but the fact that they've gotten 2 kills off on him so far, he's gotten the XP for both of them, and he's been participating right now, I think is really beneficial for Complexity.
We see Korok goes for the Arcane Boots build up on his Lesh. We've seen it in both ways this qualifier run so far with Lesh. Either going with Power Treads, I guess when they feel they need that extra bit of life, or they go with the Arcanes because you can always, disassemble them and put them into the Bloodstone here and there. I don't know if you have any sort of inkling about that notion right there. Just as far as it seems like the easier path for item progression for your Leshrac. Maybe doesn't necessarily need the extra bit of life.
I think you should go for the Arcane Boots first, because the way that Leshrac plays, he's going to farm really quickly, and the Power Treads don't do too much for you because eventually you want to get something like Travels, because you can push out waves so quickly, right? And that you want to be the person pushing out the wave, then TPing to your teammates to be able to help the push. So I think going for the Arcane Boots and then having regular boots and then getting a point booster, because you're going to farm so quickly. It's just the nature of the hero.
Yeah, once he gets enough levels together, it gets out of control. But hey, Warlock got that Midas, so there's going to be that Midas. I would foresee a rush towards that Agnums, then a Refresher, and then things just get absolutely chaotic. And if it does get to that point, what could be the answer from NAR with the lineup they currently got to stop the double rock dropdown? Or are they more based to prevent him from getting to that point?
You have to prevent him from getting to that point. If you let a Warlock, especially as a core, build up a Refresher, on top of the Aghanim Scepter, it's so hard to fight into. And NAR don't really have the best ways of dealing with it either. They've got 3 heroes that I'd say are relatively squishy.
Oh, they're going to try to defend this tower. Still not taken down until they can actually get the die. It looks like they will. Moonmander's going to finish it off. Now, Chad looking to run away from here. They get the help. That mech was already picked up from Ush. They dish out the Viper Strike on Ziz, but he's going to be able to Sakuchi himself away from trouble. Get rid of these frickin' zombies off my butt, and Chad will be able to make it away. So, when it's all said and done, they have 3 attention down here in the NAR bottom lane. They're not able to get the tower. It was denied. Ziz could Sakuchi himself into a bit of trouble if they decide to turn and go on to him here. Actually, Moonmeander there with full life now. And just a bit of a footsie play blitz. Flirting, but no one kind of going for third base.
You can't let them disrespect your offlaner like that. You have to come in at some point and stop that madness, because if the Undying just keeps getting dove, they're going to get a little bit more reckless and start playing really aggressively, and you can't really do much. They don't really want to help Moon either, because if you notice who was the one that rotated, it was the Weaver, right? Because the Sand King wants to continue to farm the jungle. Like, his only focus in life right now is to get that Blink Dagger. A Dazzle's not going to provide you any offensive firepower, so it's going to be the Weaver, and the Warlock can't TP as well. Just 'cause it's a Warlock.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Blink Dagger. 12-minute, 30-second Blink Dagger for Fly. Respectable time is what I would like to say about that. Do you think it's crucial now for him to take that Blink Dagger and put it to some use? I imagine so. He just got the smoke, the old Bat Rider kind of Blink Dagger play. So, big deal if they can kind of lead in with a kill with this one. Plus, he has the Epi. And of all the lanes out there, we'll have to see what he favors as the prime target. I mean, Viper is the most farmed for NAR, but he's also one of the hardest targets to take down. So where do you think his best bet is to try to make a big impact with that Blink?
Unless the Warlock +1 are going to show up to the bottom lane, I think it's unlikely. I think the better play is to go for Korok mid. They never see the 3 times gank coming. Like, it's like the first one goes off and you're like, okay, I'll respect that. The second one goes off and you're like,
fair enough.
All right, these guys are just being assholes now. And then the third time goes off and you're just like, there's no way. They've already shut me down. They've wasted so much time here. It's the third time that really catches you off guard.
I mean, they don't want to even have that third time to happen. Chad has been flirting around this mid lane for quite a while, just in case something is to happen onto Korok here, but now they have Moonmander here involved as well. Korok not playing that aggressive. We've seen in the last couple of moments, but obviously the given that there's people missing from the map. Moon's missing from the bottom lane. Fly has been off the radar for who knows how long, so it's fair enough for them to play a bit more reserved. But because of that, look at MSS. He's kind of doing his own thing in the top lane. He's already over level 8. Have yet to see him utilize his Primal Roar as well. So it's been a relatively quiet game, I have to say, mostly for the side of NAR.
I think NAR are just trying to play defensively and build up a little bit more of a lead. Like, MSS is farming so well. That's a Necrobook 1 on an offlaner at 14 minutes. Like, you're incredibly satisfied with what's happening right now. Because if you take a look at Moon Meander's farm, he's got almost nothing. He's got the Arcane Boots, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just looking at the comparison of offlaners, the Beastmaster's doing really well. So you're okay with this type of pace.
Here they are now, thinking that they can probably get some work done in the top lane, knocking at that tier 1 here. MSS, of course, still in the neighborhood. His Hawk out there doing work. Korok now back into his more confident stance as he has that magical haste rune to kind of duck in and out when necessary here. But he's got an objective in mind, and that's looking to finish off that tier 1 mid. But Ush still kind of doing his own thing down here in the bottom lane. Is there going to have to be a point where Complexity have something to do about it? I mean, or is Ush just going to get away with taking this tier 2 bottom and then he'll look to take his momentum elsewhere?
The problem for COL is that their lineup is so immobile, and they have no ganking heroes. The Sand King, like Kevin said, it's okay for burst damage, but you've got a Dazzle as a support and an Undying, which isn't really known for the burst damage. So to be able to kill that Viper, you'd have to heavily commit. You'd have to throw down the Rock, the Sand King ultimate, but he's got a mech. Like, the likelihood of killing him is still kind of low, and the investment for it would be so huge. And this is why I think the Viper pick pays off so well for them.
Yeah, they haven't really picked it much through the qualifier, if at all, at least from the games I've seen personally. But it seems like this is the right time to grab it, and so far it's been pretty damn fruitful. They got some good strikes there on the tier 2 bottom lane. Moonmeander did show up, who was successful denying the tier 1 in that lane, so he's kind of there on its back end. But it will still stand for now, and it looks like Ush will pull back, and well, they get the ward on the high ground right now. Hawk already currently scouting out Swindle Melons. He's got that point booster and already 1k gold. You're talking about maybe eventually stopping this Warlock from getting to that point, but he seems to continue to build it together. But my oh my, suddenly Korok, he has a soul booster. So.
It's just the nature of Leshrac. He's going to farm faster than every other hero because he's got so many different ways to farm.
Mm-hmm.
He can go to the jungle really quickly. He insta-clears the creep wave in middle. He can just keep forcing it back. If the Warlock goes for any sort of rotations, then he takes your mid tower. It's like a lose-lose situation overall. It's like insane, but I think Complexity should just kind of ignore the laning phase right now. Try to build up items onto the Warlock. Get your Sand King one more item maybe. Make sure that the Weaver's in fighting condition, and then just go all out. Like, it's like one timed movement of aggression. Like, you don't really get many opportunities because the Warlock cooldown is so long, but it's like you really have to make things happen with that one big rock.
That's almost the impression we had when we talked about this matchup. NAR just notoriously known for really succeeding in their laning stage, but where Complexity have that good team fight where they can come together and really succeed. So we're looking for a bit more of that here in the game. But look at that. MSS departs from his offlane position, now looking at the attention towards the mid lane. Another denied tower, though. Complexity going to be taking that one away. I also want to mention Korok with this Leshrac went a very interesting build here. Might have to hold that thought. Moonmeander charging on forward, but it could be him that's in a bit of trouble. No, he'll be fine. The tombstone's going to end up going down. Now he's got help. The Rock faked out once. The vision, they can't quite see Fog. Fog going to go for the TP. Are they going to waste the Rock to stop him? No, they won't. It's just a freaking little Shadow Demon, so they let him go back to the fountain and we'll make it away. But hey, they rotate a bunch of coal to the bottom lane. They don't get much, if anything, out of it at all. Korok continues to farm. Same with MSS and company. But as I say that, will the matchup come out. Epicenter charging on up. They move in. Burrow does end up catching just the tip of it right there at the end. Big damage, but Korok again with another haste rune. Look at the sidestep right here. He's trying to juke and jive to make it away from this one. The bug scouting him out right here, but that little pony boy is way too fast. And, sorry, Fly. Just, you got a good gap closing, but not that fast a gap closing. So Korok is going to make it away with his life. Ooh, how heartbreaking is that for Complexity?
It's pretty big because it kind of shows Na'Vi a lot of Complexity's hands. Like, Complexity's not going to use that ultimate on one of your supports. And that's like the saddest part is you see a 300 HP Shadow Demon start to TP away and you can't do anything about it. It kind of reveals that, okay, if you didn't know it before, Complexity's not going to try to fight you in the split push engagements. So I think what Na'Vi are going to go for are stuff like that.
Moon Meander. They're going to dish out the Purge from Fog, but now Fog's going to get caught with the Burrow Strike right now. Weave is going to be flying out. Same with the Tombstone. It looks like Na'Vi want to pull back into a different position, at least away from that Tombstone, but can they get out? The Rock going to be drop connects onto Upheaval there as well. A big Death Ward, however, on the return from Chad is going to stop them from moving on forward. They're going to eat a lot of this damage right here. Fly goes in, but he ends up going down. They're going to lose the one. Shadow Demon also going down in the mix, and now as they charge to the back, MSS is like, I got to get the hell out of here. He's going to make it out, but it's Swindle coming out with the killing spree right now. They clean house, but Korok, the king to stand on the end, dishing out all that huge damage, tries to make it to the end, but Ziz ends up taking him down. Swindle gets the double kill. It's absolute blood slaughter here in the Complexity jungle. It's a 4-for-3 trade. Whew, my goodness, that was quite dramatic.
I'm really surprised, though, that NAR decided that they were going to get into that fight. Because if you think about it, if they go for the split push, like one core hero goes to the bottom lane, it's the Viper, two go to the top, and then the supports are just free to stack or do whatever they want. What does Complexity do against a split push? Like, they don't have enough damage to take down that Viper. They don't have the amount of smokes necessary to gank MSS, who's just going to have the Hawk up at all times. And it doesn't matter too much if you gank the Leshrac. Like, look at this fight. There's only potential to lose here.
The other big thing is, if you didn't see in the bottom left corner, is Complexity also managed to sneak a courier kill during it. It was coming in, bad timing for NAR, and even more of a bonus for Complexity from this fight. So this is a huge dramatic turn from him, not only just winning the fight, they've rid of that courier as well, and, well, you can see the back end of it here. Chad desperate with the Maldic, but Ziz just in a prime position there on the back, dishes out huge right-click damage. It's blood splatter all over the place. Korok, valiant effort to try to hang in there in the end, but it's just they're outnumbered. Plus the Weave dished out early, their armor whittled down pretty dang low so that when the Weaver comes in to clean up, it seems almost effortless.
Oh, in this mid lane, Fly might actually be in trouble.
Uh-oh, Fly, burrow to the high ground, but yeah, not going to be happening. That Edict flies on through, and it was something I wanted to mention before, but seems almost irrelevant now, but Korok put more love into the Edict build-up this game. Normally I see more, especially in the mid lane, all about the Split Earth and all about the Lightning Storm. Was there anything about that at all that he just maybe wanted to push a bit harder with the Edict? I just thought that was a bit unusual.
I think he maxed the first two normally. He's just such a high level right now. He's level 13, so he's got everything maxed.
Yeah, now he has everything. But I thought before in the past, but everything kind of went chaotic before I could really address it. I just thought that was something a bit interesting. Ush, he's finally going to get the finish on that tier 2. The first tower they finally will get without it being denied. Actually, they did get the top tier 1, but it was a lot of gold that was taken away. But now they're finally getting something for themselves, and, well, Korok, he's just going to be clearing out this top lane a bit.
Look at that, though. Ush just kind of solo pushes a tier 2 tower at bottom, and they can do nothing about it. Like, they actually just have to watch as that happens. Even the supports in middle right now, that's 1,000 HP Fog with the cloak. You're not going to kill him with just one hero, and it's got to be Fly, but that's just not enough, I guess.
Korok needs some help. It comes in the form of both Chad and now MSS, but oh my, Korok
actually killed him.
Goes down, and there's the time lapse to make it away and make it a hit and run, but look who's also looking to get involved. Oh no, not going to be catching him out. All right, so now it's Complexity looking in a bit better form here and kind of forcing NAR to be spread apart in a bit of an awkward position.
Yeah, and that's actually a really smart decision by Ziz to go for the Deso. I think it's kind of a go for broke play. We need damage over anything, and the positioning game is so strong for the Weaver this game because there's not a whole lot of single target lockdowns. There is the Beastmaster, but you can play around that if he doesn't have a Blink Dagger or something like that by just running away whenever he tries to gap close on you.
Mechanical question, everyone. Demonic Purge working on the Golem. Is it going to do significant damage? I know it's not an auto kill like it used to be back way in the Dota 1 days, but is it what is it? Is it like 1,000 damage? I'm not too sure. Everyone here is not really too sure, apparently. I want to say it does significant damage.
I think it's just the base. I don't think it does extra.
It doesn't do any extra? Okay. Then
that would be really weird.
I'm thinking back to the olden days then. I will tell you, though, the Purge does wipe out a courier in one shot, so it's a fun little fruit fact right there. Now, Complexity, moving on in. It's going to go ahead and whittle down the tier 1 as much as possible. Look at this. Fly going to be able to catch out Ush on the high ground. ground. You're
This is a
Viper
rock
on the
target.
run. Yep, and they got the target. Crosshairs loaded right now, and now Ush trying to make it away with the upheaval, forcing him to move oh so slow. Mech is not going to be enough to save him. Ziz now on a killing spree, and he's looking for more. Oh, Fly going to be coming up short with the burrow. Goes right into the Sandstorm Fog. Going to make it out from additional trouble, but Complexity continue to assert their dominance. You can see double trouble coming out from Swindle, as he does have that Agnums and Midas pairing, plus a lot of gold on top of that, and they're going to continue this momentum down towards the tier 2.
The problem right now for NAR is that they haven't killed the Warlock whatsoever. He's been able to snowball really hard in every single fight so far and in all the engagements. He just kind of sits in the back casting the upheaval. He doesn't die.
Korok's in trouble. He might be caught out. Defensive disruption might only delay the inevitable. He's going to get some extra ticks off with the ultimate Chad, getting down to pretty decent death ward right
This
here.
actually goes down.
But they do manage to take down the Weaver, and now it's a self-dazzle Shallow Grave to make it away from this one, and Fogged, he gets dropped. MSS finally unleashes his Primal Roar, but it might be just trying to save his ally, which is not going to be happening. He himself, very wounded, has to make it back. Ush, right back into the action here. Viper Strike is going to make it go onto Ziz, but he gets the heal coming out from Moon. That tier 2 finally goes down, but it still ends up being a 3-for-1 trade. So though NAR very, very benefit in their laning stage, we're starting to see as the team fights erupt, it continues to be Complexity one after the other.
Yeah, I thought Ziz was going to go down, but the time lapse is so strong. It's hard to just kind of focus him down in these chaotic team fights where you've got the Warlock golems going off. And I mean, this is the perfect scenario for Complexity. To be able to use the rock to get a gank off and then push for a tower immediately after, that's your exact game plan. And I feel like NAR are kind of feeding into it as they're presenting opportunities for Swindle to drop down the rock. Like, he's looking for 1 or 2 heroes. He's going to drop it every single time if they're near a tower. Mm-hmm. Because you don't want to just drop it on top of a tower. It's kind of a little bit underwhelming at that point.
If you can find an opportunity to drop it near a tower onto someone, then you're golden here. And, well, look at that. Undying. The newest shoes on the block in the Dota world. The Greaves going to be picked up for him. A solid grab for this hero. There's a few strong candidates out there for the new pair of shoes. You got your Huskar, you got your maybe even occasional Dazzler once in a while, but Undying, I think he benefits a lot from this. Going to be a big impact for his team. They're clearly starting to work with, I don't know if I would identify it as a full death ball, but they're definitely trying to 4 or 5 man down these lanes, and those Greaves could really shine. And now NAR, maybe a behind the back play here. They sneak into the Roche pit and they succeed in taking it down. Good grab for them, and it's going to be Korok who picks up the Aegis on his Lesh.
That was absolutely crucial because I feel like if Complexity gets that Roshan, they get a refresher on the Warlock and then they give the Aegis to the Weaver and they're unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the game just ends there. You can't really come back from that because if you get racks in the mid lane, then they just have to start throwing down double rocks every single time it's up in the bottom lane until you take 2 sets of racks. And then the gold lead from there is a little bit too insurmountable. I think that what NAR have to do is try to look for pickoffs or try to engage before the Warlock can get the double refresher rock off. But I mean, it's going to be difficult as Warlock is level 16 right now. He's quite close to the refresher on top of that. Like, they have to engage before the towers hit.
Oh, they might find MSS here. It looks like they will. They move in. Tombstone going to be dropped. The Weave already out. He's just going to go for a Hail Mary of a TP, but oh, not happening. He gets slaughtered straight out. And it's going to be Z-Freak who picks up the kill. This is unfortunate now for NAR getting caught out of position, but very nice for Cole. They're going to take that, move right to the bottom, and clear out a fancy little tier 1 here. Leading at your net worth topper, it's now Swindle on that Warlock. He's going to continue to inch closer to that refresher, and things are going to be a bit of a problem here.
I'm really a big fan of the way that Korok is playing this Lesh, though. He's just trying to get as tanky as possible, so he's in the middle of the team fight, kind of soaking up all the damage, getting in the way of everybody. I think this is the correct way to play this game, especially. You want to create a buffer between you and the rest of your team. Like, you want the Viper to be able to survive. You want the Witch Doctor, who's gotten, like, godly death wards off every single engagement so far. You want that to last as long as possible, and that's the only real way that you're going to get into an engagement. The problem, though, is look at this bottom tier push. You've got a Deso on the Weaver. You've got 2 rocks available for you. I mean, you know, from the Agnums, and so it's too difficult right now for NAR to fight into that, but at the same time, giving up tier 2 towers against a guy that's going to get a refresher orb right now, I think that's a recipe for it as well. No, that's for the Lincolns.
Oh, but that's more items. Very scary right now. Complexity looking pretty damn good at this point. Ziz being able to throw together now that extra defensive tool in the Lincolns. Though Viper Strike, and I know Ush is building towards the Agnums, could rid of the Lincolns pretty dang fast, but it still rids of 1 Viper Strike altogether here. So, yeah, there it is. He's now got it complete. And there also is the Magic Watermelon Refresher, now done on your Warlock. So do we just feel like at this point Complexity will overall have the better team fight, and they should look to utilize this Refresher as fast as possible, maybe possibly trying to breach into the high ground at this point? There's only one more outer tower standing for NAR, and that's their northern tower just outside their base.
I mean, I've got this expression right now. It's like, how did this Warlock get as farmed as he is? Like, they're going to have the vastly superior team fight if he can get both rocks off. Like, that's the key here, is that if NAR can somehow find a way to isolate him out, maybe roar him, follow up with the Lesh, throw everything on him at once, and try to pull him down as fast as you possibly can, then you probably win a fight, especially if you force Swindle to use those rocks defensively. But I mean, in a straight-up engagement, let's say Complexity just kind of make their way bottom, start beating on the tower, get the Deso hits off onto the tower, and then you drop 4 rocks on top of it at once. It's going to go down so quickly, especially at this phase of the game. It's a 27-minute Refresher Orb Aghanim's Hand of Midas Warlock. Like, I'm actually just blown away right now.
Yeah, and right on cue, Mr. Nahaz lets us know it's only the 15th time that Warlock has finished his Refresher Orb before the 30-minute mark, so it's a very stellar performance coming out from Swindlemelons, one that could be quite complicated for NAR. NAR playing things a bit more defensively, obviously, probably looking to stall out a bit so the Aegis will expire. You know, don't really want to have to fight into that, but eventually the fight will come. And I have to say, I don't know if you feel the same way. MSS on his Beastmaster, haven't really been able to see him utilize more of an offensive Primal Roar yet this game. Maybe is that more because the opportunity hasn't really been there, or do you think that maybe MSS has been playing a bit more reserved?
I think the opportunity hasn't been there. I mean, MSS has sick amounts of farm right now. Getting a Necrobook 3 that quickly into the game as an offlaner against the type of lane that he was against is really impressive. But Complexity have kind of just played this like group, don't show ourselves on the map, and then immediately show the 5-man show force, which doesn't really go well against the Beastmaster. Like, the Beastmaster wants to try to look for the individual pickoffs with just the Necrobooks and him, or him plus one other hero early game, and those opportunities haven't really presented themselves. So I think it's a combination of MSS. He's playing like smart. He's not trying to force anything. He's waiting for opportunities to develop, and I think that's the correct response. But right now, Complexity, I mean, they're just playing really well right now. Is that they have a strategy, they're executing it really well. They're kind of just playing this like group mentality. Let's see what we can get. And right now, I think they're just going to try to go for broke right now. I think go to the mid lane because it's the most pushed in. Gank somebody if you can. If you can't, you're right at their doorstep anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. Like, this smoke is a win-win situation.
Yeah, they make a big fight here. They use the rock. They come out big on a fight. They can use those rocks to push into base and probably easily rid of the racks here. So this is going to be a huge fight for NAR to kind of fend off. And on the other side, a huge fight for COL. They come out big and successful here. You know, they could end up taking this game number 1. But for now, the opportunity not there. NAR playing a bit more reserved. You see Fog back in the middle of the base, just kind of waiting out. They know a lot are missing from the map. They have a decent spread of wards out there to kind of see where the heck, you know, the Complexity actually are. They didn't have direct vision of the smoke itself, but you can kind of do the math that by deduction, something fishy is happening right now.
Yeah, they have to know that Complexity, after this timing, they're just going to go all out for it because they're not really waiting on anything else. It's not like the Weaver will get a BKB. I mean, the Undying's built for Guardian Greaves. The Warlock has everything that he's pretty much going to get. This is the best possible timing that you're going to get. And I really like that Na'Vi, when they went for the Roshan, I think that was a defensive steal. It's one of those, we have to try to delay the clock as long as possible. And you're seeing their playstyle reflect that. Because typically when a team takes the Aegis, it's like, okay, it's time to take every single tier 1 and tier 2. But that's not the case at all. They're like, okay, we have the Aegis now. Let's just use this as a defensive tool. Hopefully they fight into a 6v5. That would be the best possible case. But if not, we'll just buy ourselves more time. Because that's what Na'Vi are trying to do right now. They're just trying to buy as much time as possible for that one fight. Because Complexity, they don't get a lot of opportunities at this. If their push gets repelled once or twice, then the confidence starts to decrease by Complexity. They're like, oh, well, we're kind of stuck into this, we have to go for broke kind of scenario.
And if NAR are going to be waiting out for that one special fight, is their key component going to be Korok on this Lesh? He's been able to throw together a Yules after his Bloodstone, which unfortunately did have to go down to 4 charges now, but he does have, as pointed out, about 2,400 gold saved up. We could expect to possibly see the Octarine Core come up as next, so that they continue to stall maybe for something like that and have him as the key factor in these fights.
Yeah, he's going to be the primary damage dealer overall, and he's actually going to go for just pure tankiness, which I think is the right idea. His damage dealing isn't the issue for him. It's survival. Being able to survive all 4 of those rocks and the Tombstone and the Sand King ultimate isn't easy. And so I just kind of want to take a look at the Viper's items to really get a...
Pimp, please.
Yeah, so he's got S and Y, Aghanims, mech. That's about as defensive as it gets, right? Like, he's really beefy. He's got a lot of HP. He's got the mech on top of that.
Oh, look at this. Korok has found a little scorpion over here, and he's able to get Fly, what feels like relatively easy. Fly just maybe split pushing a lane, a bit far from home, but he will get punished. Nothing too dramatic for the side of Complexity, but it's a new step in the right direction for NAR. This is obviously going to be able to easily rid of that little Viper Strike, and he'll get bullied away from the lane. But NAR in a more comfortable spot, it feels like here, just based on their body language, I guess you could say.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you get a pick off like that, Hollow Guy, it just extends the timer even more for you. Like, you're just trying to wait things out for as long as you possibly can. And so that's reflected of that, right? NAR are taking chances. They're pushing up the lanes as much as they can, so that Complexity doesn't have that opportunity to just go for that one push into the yank, into the double rock where we just managed to take racks off.
Yeah.
Like, it's delay, delay, delay. Look for whatever single pickoffs they can, get out, push out the lanes, and then just reset the timer for as long as you can.
I can't help but feel like that this might just have to come down to one epic Armageddon of a fight. It's either going to be a big one for Complexity where they get the most and their double rocks come out and then they take over the base, or they come up short, they're stuck without their big bread and butter of an ultimate, and it's going to be NAR who continue to push on, because NAR are not as based around their big ultimates. They have Viper Strike, which is continuous. Obviously, Lesh doesn't have to worry about cooldowns too much. Primal Roar has got a relatively short cooldown, but whereas Complexity are more built around this Warlock and when the big fight does break out. So I feel like it's going to be possibly that one and done, if anything. Possibly, could end up being a big fight, moving to Roche, a little bit of period there, but oh man. More tools start coming together here for NAR, though, as you see. Chad's going to be able to get that Aghanim Scepter on his Witch Doctor. And is it a level 3 Death Ward right now? It is not yet. Only level 11, actually, so he's got a little ways to go, but hey, at least the spread's going to be there.
Yeah, that's the thing that they're waiting for, right? Is that you just need to get as much farm as you can, and the Witch Doctor getting an Aghanim is actually so huge. If he can get, what he should wait for, I think, is wait in the back for as long as you can, pop the heal in case your teammates need heals, and then just wait, delay, wait for the 2 rocks to come down, and then go for that big ultimate, because it's the main thing that's going to save them at this point.
Magic Cape, take me away! Fog makes it back to base with the help of that Glimmer Cape. No problem right there. Roche is back, everyone, so, time to beat his ass.
Isn't that so scary and depressing?
I always say this.
Yeah, villagers just show up, loot you.
It's like,
you're just like,
I'm back. My home, my tiny apartment's great. Kick his ass.
Have you ever seen 50 First Dates? It reminds
Yes.
me of that. It's like, he wakes up, he has no memory of what just happened, and he's like, you know what? Today's a new day. He's like, it's New Year's.
The sun is shining.
I gotta start working out again. Like, and then he just gets the crap kicked out of him. Like,
Hey,
the
friends.
moment he lives.
Yeah. Hey, no, not my precious Aegis. It was an heirloom handed down from my grandfather, Roche. Oh, no. Well, no, sorry, bud.
Roche is the tragic figure in all of Dota.
It really is, man. No one gets their ass beat more than this guy right here. So with that, he is back up and ready. No team really kind of circling the pit yet. Obviously, the vision advantage could be on the side of NAR with the benefit of the Hawk. Well, just as I finished talking about it, it looks like NAR are going to be the one to go in there and, well, whoop them down. Do they have the luxury of doing it, though? It's very scary to do against a team like Complexity. That's a very congested area for a team that has, the rocks.
That's how they want to fight. They just want to throw down Dwayne Johnson twice in a row and hopefully win the fight. Like, that's
the people's elbow.
Yeah, you're just gonna suplex them down. That's the main goal, is to try to get them into a small enclosed space where you get a lot of tight areas. You don't want NAR to have a lot of room to work with, because you want them to fight under things like the Tombstone and things of that nature. The problem right now the Na'Vi are running into is that they want to take this Roshan because you can't give it to the Weaver twice. Like, killing him twice is going to be too difficult.
Yeah.
But if you fight into that area, it's also kind of a lost cause. Like, it's going to be too difficult.
Ooh. Solid pick up the hood coming out from Moon. He's looking to press forward to the pipe, which has been buffed not that long ago here. An item that people regularly forget, maybe just trying to stay free and stay clean, but could be very utilized here when you're going against this left. You're going against this big magic potential. But here we go. Complexity feel a bit more confident, messing around with the Roche, feeling like they have the stronger team fight as long as they keep their big fighters out there on the outskirts. And they're just going to inch it down. And it looks like the Weaver is going to be picking it up. There it is. Uh-oh. So now, what do we look for them to do? Are they going to do a bit of a rinse and repeat, stalling things out a bit, hoping that the ages will eventually expire? Or is there going to have to be a point where maybe Complexity just decide to get the most out of this ages, push on down, and NAR just going to have to fight in the high ground?
I think you all in if you're Complexity right now. You just saw the Beastmaster Roar used. I think the Sand King has his ultimate up as well. Like, there's not anything that you really are waiting for at this point. Like, that was the best possible scenario. The Beastmaster just used his Roar mid. You know it's down for about 65, 60 more seconds. By the time you actually get to the base, it'll be like, oh, it's actually, my sense of time is really
It's okay,
at earliest it's like 20 seconds by the time it comes out, so you have a bit of a window. But it looks like the Warlock actually went back. Does he have travels at least? Is this why he's doing this? Yeah.
Well, he has lots of money. Yeah, he just purchased the travels. Actually, almost enough for bots too if he wants to go real crazy with the shoes. We'll have to see. But for now, they step back. So not quite that all-in push yet for Complexity, at least not until they have everyone together. But they know that they're split apart, so they were really hunting on forward to hope to get a pick off there, but it's not going to come too easy, though they'll take out a couple of wards along the way. Uh-oh. Okay. Bird scouting on the forefront. Gets going to get decayed. A lot of bird hate, but here's Swindle back into the action right here. NAR could be caught grouped up here if not careful.
Yeah, this is going to be the one-off team fight that you were talking about, so good luck casting everything at once.
This is what I hate.
So many things are going to happen at once.
And I'm going to miss at least like 80% of it, I feel. But let's see. I'll channel my inner youth and hope that I can scout everything out. But here comes Complexity starting to knock at the front door of NAR here. Are they going to be knocking with some rocks? Or are they going to try to slow siege this in hopes that maybe NAR will be out of position? To the benefit of NAR, though, you can already see it now. Fog, though he's getting pretty low on mana, continues to dish out the poison here. Could be a bit deceptive. Next thing you know, you have 4 or 5 stacks on you, and things could be a bit rough. But okay, that's the signal blitz. Defensive weave out. It's go time.
Complexity aren't even aiming for the best fight. They'll take anything that isn't absolutely awful. Like, if they get any sort of initiation off or any sort of timing, they're just going to all in for it right now.
They pop the Lincolns. Viper Strike early onto Ziz, though he is your Aegis holder, so he's free to still kind of slow siege down that tower and be out in the front. Gets his heal up from both the Dazzle and the Undying, and they kind of step back. Very methodical, disciplined play. Uncharacteristic of your American Dota, but they're doing it.
They're just trying not to throw the game right now. They're waiting it out. They realize there's so many different scenarios, and most of them they're going to win these fights, and they're going to drop the Tombstone to try to hope NARV kind of stack up for this. And Swindle doesn't want to drop the rocks quite yet, though.
Ooh, he's thinking about it. The Glyph already goes out. The Tombstone is down. Ziz is still on those front lines, putting it down. Okay, Upheaval actually going to be coming out here from Swindle first. We'll cancel it and step back. Man, this is finicky play. They get the new Viper, but there's the committed go. Oh! The rock's going to get dropped, and it's a big one. Right onto NAR. They're immediately going to lose Fog. Not looking to buy back quite yet. There's going to be the buyback. And now Chaos is out. Look at all the rock people fly. Ziz moves on in. He's got the Shallow Grave to live it on out, but he's still got the Aegis. It's going to be used right there. Chad running to the south side to make it away from this. Still NAR holding on. They get the splitter. They're looking to go for Ziz. The Primal will follow. They're going to get the Weaver down. They got him dropped. Now the self-fuels. Korog's going to get himself into a newfound position. Those rocks, though, still doing pretty big work. They're able to bring down Fog. That's a dieback for him. The Witch Doctor Chad also goes down. MSS forced to buy back to get into this one. That tier 3 still standing. Finally going to get brought down right here. But this is it. NAR really need to look to hold. Otherwise, they're going to be losing both of these racks. Here comes the TP back on in. It's going to be Ush first on the scene. Then you're going to see Korog coming in here after. MSS charging forward, but he does not have that Primal Roar. He's so much damage from these golems. Finally, they start chunking down one by one. When the damage is done and the dust clears Blitz, it's going to be a tier 3 and 1 racks. I feel like that could have gone a lot worse. NAR, a respectable hold. Is this their time now to try to take it to the other side while the rocks are on cooldown?
I think so. I think at this point, you don't just wait to die. You got to play aggressively at this point. Go all in for it. At least try to take some towers down during this time period, because you know everything from Complexity's down. The buyback on the Weaver's down. They don't have the Warlock ultimate or the Refresher up. If there's any time period for them to kind of go for broke, it's now. Because if they just keep playing the defensive game, Dakota, they're going to sit in their base, wait to die. If one fight goes wrong, then they get mega creeped instantly. Like, you have to play proactively if you want to win this game.
Warlock quickly goes to the library and picks up the good book. Right to level 3 with it. They got a big chunk of money after taking down that Rax, but here comes NAR back the other way now. Dish out the early Tombstone here. It's going to help him zone him quite a bit. They're going to throw out the cask. Only going to be spread between the two. Moon's going to pop out his ultimate right here and go into his final form, but NAR is still looking to hold here for now. And they're looking to stay committed. Take advantage of this opportunity. while the Warlock ult is still down and on cooldown, though how much longer could it be? Death Ward is up, however. And here they go. They would love to at least get their own even trade if possible. Moon with that pipe, gonna pipe it up right now. Fly gets his own Lincolns, so they consider having him lead in. They will. Burrow Strike is gonna be catching on Ush. But Ush is getting healed up now. Voodoo Restoration, their own fair heals are here. This is just such disciplined play for both sides. They do not want to look to overthrow. Complexity dropped this fight, then all that effort down the mid lane is pretty much going to be turned to a wash. If more of an advantage for NAR. If NAR drop it at this point, then, well, that just doesn't look good. If you're not able to get things done while both rocks are out, then things are going to be pretty damn grim. Another tombstone dropped. They continue to inch in and out here, just looking to wait for it to expire. But ultimately, Blitz, it looks like they're not going to be able to get as much as they'd like, and we still have a good chunk of time before Roche will even be back.
I think Na'Vi are actually going to be super happy with how things went, because they only lost one melee Rex in the Tier 3 tower. They didn't have to invest too much into buybacks or anything like that. I know MSS came in, and but they were able to repel. They forced the buyback onto the Weaver. He also died in the middle of that fight by a Great Ward by MSS. He was so patient with that and waited for Lincoln's to pop and the Aegis to pop, and so I think you're relatively happy if you're Na'Vi, because I felt like things were going to go even worse than that, right? Like, they dropped the tombstone, they get a 4-man double rock off, like, things could have been disastrous, but the fact that they managed to hold in that type of scenario is going to be really happy.
Now it's more NAR going right back into their farming groove, trying to itemize, get those extra bit of defensive tools or offensive tools necessary to probably thwart off the inevitable next push of complexity with the new double people elbow right there. So we'll have to see. And it looks like Ush this time has his AC ready to go. Korok obviously had Shivas, but he's looking to get that Octarine core now. Already has the Soul Booster done. That would be a nice, fruitful grab for him. Getting all that extra magic spell. Life Leech, more life, of course. The cooldown's all reduced for at least his Split Earth and his Lightning. And we'll have to see if it's going to be enough. This could be another calm before the storm Blitz. But hey, I was wrong. It's not going to be that one and done. We'll get two and done, maybe.
Because I think Complexity were, as much as Na'Vi were happy about it, I think Complexity were a little bit disappointed. They figured they would just kind of stomp that fight, go on and win the game, but it was a little bit weaker than they thought it would be, and that's got to be a little bit demoralizing, but they still have opportunities. I mean, they did take racks at the end of the day. You just kind of hope for a little bit more than that. Like, you want a little bit more of a dominant fight, or you would have liked to take both sets of racks if you could.
Here comes Cole, smoked up and on the move. Just before 44-20. How ironic is that? Now they look to move on down here. Couldn't let that one slide without a giggle. But it looks like they're not going to be finding anyone out here on the side. Nice. And, well, oh wow, they're committing a lot. There's no one down there right here. I guess they just anticipated that maybe someone from the NAR side was kind of hiding out in that corner, but nope. Back and forth we go. Cole working at the bottom. NAR on the other side of the globe, looking to kind of split push out a bit towards their own side here. I mean, I'm just not anticipating NAR look to go on the offensive at all to try to make their own push happen. Certainly not while Complexity have the double rock, or will they use that as maybe an element of surprise, making their own offensive push while no one has an Aegis?
Honestly, I think that Cole need the Aegis to fight. The Weaver goes down too easily. There's too many things that can break his Lincolns, right? You just throw down the Lightning Storm, and then, or you trick him with a Viper Strike, and he's like, okay, well, I blocked that, and then all of a sudden you get Beastmaster Roar. And Na'Vi, they do have enough damage to take him down. You can just target him with the Death Ward during that time period. It's long enough. I think for Complexity, you've got like 3 or 4 more pushes in you, so you're not really too worried about anything. The key is just to not get rebuttal killed, right? And they were able to hold that one time. It was like both the rock were down, and everyone able to, I think that's best possible case scenario. You just want as many opportunities as you can to push the base.
And Korok clearing out the wave here. Just minor damage on that tier 3, and as Nahaz pointed out, Complexity side, they have a bit more on the side of their supports and their backstaff. You see Fly's almost getting towards that 10k net worth mark, and then you look over on the side of NAR and you still have Fog trying to scrape together what he can, you know, still kind of just working with that Glimmer Cape here. But, you know, it is a Shadow Demon after all. I mean, is there anything that you could, you know, hope to see to get a bit more out of the Shadow Demon so it can really contribute a whole lot? There is that new Agnum's recipe, but that's going to be way off in the horizon, obviously. So maybe a Force Staff as a little bit extra defensive tool to get away from the rocks.
Yeah, Force Staff is like the best possible support item. I know like Kevin really likes the Agnum Scepter on the Shadow Demon.
He really just likes the hero in general.
Yeah, but there's no way that he's going to be able to farm it this game. And I think that's okay because the Shadow Demon isn't going to make or break your fights with the type of items he has. Nor is Witch Doctor once you get the Agnum Scepter. Like everything after that is just bonus gold. It matters more that, I guess, the Sand King gets as much farm as he can, just because Swindle, aside from his rocks, isn't going to do any real physical damage. He doesn't really have a nuke associated with the hero either, so they need a little bit more oomph in their team fights in terms of damage, and it's got to come the way of the supports. Because if you look at the way that Moon's built, Undying as a hero he's not going to be a huge damage dealer, right? Like, what does he have? He's got Guardian Greaves, a pipe. Like, that's not any sort of damage dealing, so you need at least one more source. You can't just rely on the Weaver and the Warlock golems.
What would that source be? I mean, Undying, not one to really stretch this far into the game. Usually by now you'd hope that you'd have a commanding lead that the rest of your staff would be able to kind of pick up the pieces and clean it on out. You know, Undying's Tombstone isn't quite as sturdy as it once was. His heal is okay, but it's not like game-changing at this point. You know, at this point also zombies can kind of be shrugged off. Maybe the slow could still help out, but it can be a bit delicate to keep that Undying maybe relevant at this late into the game.
I think you would need an AC on somebody on Complexity. You might as well just stack a ton of auras, and you've got enough things, like units, that it'll be useful. Like Swindle Melons now has Necrobook 3 as well.
Okay, Maelstrom now picked up from Ush. New extra tool, helps wave clear it out a little bit, keeps their push going pretty damn hard. They were able to bring down that tier 3 in the top lane here. And how are we looking as far as Roche goes? It's up. He's back. It's his third time now. He's got the Gouda. Someone's got to take it.
That's a family recipe, man.
I handed down from my great-grandfather Roche, just like my Aegis.
Dota people are really messed up.
So this is very crucial for Complexity to take, just like we talked about last time. So they look to move in. This time NAR nowhere close. They're actually pushing this top lane here. Complexity, they might see this. Are they going to just have Ziz finish it out? The Korok's moving on in here, Blitz. Okay. Burrow trying to slow him down. The Fly ends up eating a bit of his own damage. They're going to be able to get the Yules on Swindle. Oh, followed up with the split up. This could be a huge pickup. Primal Roll follow-up. Now he should have a buyback. No, he's going to be forced to use it. 87 seconds otherwise. Making it go with the rocks right here. NAR looking to hit him hard and where it hurts right now. Look at the damage. Ush really right-clicking at home. Still no buyback. There it is going to be. Now the Burrow going to be flying out on Ush, but it's not quite enough. Look at this. NAR see the buyback and they're like, we've had enough, but let him get away here. There's going to be one rock dropped only onto Ush. And then with that, he's looking to turn back. Refresher's going to be flying on out. Ush is confident that he can really take it to Swindle here. Now he's going to pop his mech. He's just going to sacrifice his life to try to do as much damage, it looks like, and hold him on out. But meanwhile, on the other side, Witch Doctor is going to go down to Ziz, catching him off on the backhand lines. Moon gets the finishing blow onto Ush. No surprise, Ush obviously aware he has his buyback, just kind of holding them back a bit. Now the rock is already dropped and it's for a defensive rock, so this is pretty nice for NAR, I'd have to say.
The Warlock also uses Refresher. I think they're just going to go ham for this, like they have to. I think they march down the mid lane. They've got an Aegis and the cheese. Their opportunities are kind of getting a little bit diminished with how things are going so far. And that's what I was talking about. If you can force the Warlock to be in a defensive position, use his rocks, it doesn't mean as much. Because there's no way that the rocks are going to be able to travel all the way from that top area into the mid or anything like that.
Oh boy. Top lane goes down on COL.
They're trying to cancel TPs.
Yep. And look at this. They're going right for the jugular here, Blitz. Swindle going right for those tier 4s. Usher's going to show up here. That buyback coming out, and he's trying to stop them. Oh, Viper Strike onto Moon. The Glyph is going to be here. Fog now shows up, getting off the early poison. Fly up in arms of Korok. Korok's not going to be able to make it back. He has no TP and no way to wake it home. This is Complexity's chance to try to round out this game if possible. One tier 4 about to drop right here. Ush moving in, gets off the secondary Viper Strike. Ziz going to be healed up now from Move Meander, but they're already going to town. The second tier 4 to drop here momentarily, but there we go. Primal Roar to fly out here on Swindle. Swindle going to be saved with the Grave. That Death Ward, though, continues to do out the damage, but they're going to stop it with the rock drop right now, and the cheese going to be popped. Swindle still holding on. Here comes an Epi from Fly to save him on out. Can they stop the Beastmaster? They can. He goes down. Now Korok makes it back into his base, but he's welcomed with the stun, dishing out that continuous damage, but he's eating way too much himself. Desperate, throws up his own Yules, trying to make it back in a wave, but can he make it out alive? The Burrow's going to be there from Fly. He goes down. He now has to buy back and return into the battle, but Ziz has already cleaned out and finished up the Beastmaster. They're looking to go for the throne here, but they're slowing him down with the lightning strike. Now Korok moves right back in, trying to make it go. Z-Freak staying alive. Moon Meander might not be so lucky, barely inching it out. They're all so low. Swindle going to be caught with the split earth. They're moving back in. They're going to get fogged. Ziz looking to clean up. He's going to go down now. He does have a buyback. He's out for 100 seconds. Now, I don't think Complexity are going to be able to finish out the game at this point. Korok gets his double kill. It does cost a lot on the side of the NAR to hold out this big push. My God, Blitz. What the hell happened?
Everybody was like on the edge of their seats right now in the studio, like like the mouths were open. I mean, I haven't seen a team fight like that in quite some time. That was so exciting to watch. It was just really good defense by NAR, and they're going to go for this all-in counter push. They know that Swindle's down for quite some time. He doesn't have the refresher orb. He doesn't have buyback at all. This is the moment right now for NAR to strike back, and they have to get a lot out of this. This is a minimum investment of 1 Rax, because you know, Naked Throne, no glyph on cooldown. Once Complexity have the refresher orb, they just march down the mid lane and all in for the throne.
There's not much you'll be able to do about it, so here comes NAR. Will they be able to take this game right back? It's Korok and Ush, the top two. These two have been record-breaking all the way up to this point through the qualifiers, and we're counting on this tag team to bring it home if you're a NAR fan. But for Complexity, they're going to be holding out. They have no Swindle, and as you pointed out, no, it means no rocks, nothing at their arsenal and ready. They're going to do the preemptive grave, and also there's going to be the lead. Korok, oh man, you can already see the damage going to be built up. A Primal Roar going to catch out Ziz as he tried to charge on forward. The grave going to be there to save him on out. Plus they'll have the heal coming out from Moon. Now he's able to step back. Timeout's going to be used. Epicenter charge on forward. Big damage onto Korok. He needs some help. He's going to get Yules'd up. Blade Mill reflecting a bit of the damage, but they can't stop it. Korok is out. Almost 80 seconds. He has no buyback. It looks like NAR not going to be able to do it. They can't quite get into the base. It's only Ush now in this top lane. He might be able to get Complexity to pull back and stall out before they push on forward. Because Korok does have that Bloodstone, he's going to be back in just a minute time, so could be there for the next big push of Complexity, but that is very heartbreaking if you're on the side of NAR, not being able to really get into that base and do a lot of work.
Yeah, and right now, without the Leshrac up as well, and the Warlock has everything up, I believe. If you take a look at his refresher orb, yeah, it's just cooled down. I mean, if you're NAR, you're really worried. You don't have the Leshrac. What was keeping you in this game so far was the amount of buybacks that you were able to put up any sort of defense, but they're just going to march down this mid lane, and Ush realizes that as well. He's like, okay, maybe we can go for some sort of throne race scenario, but it's just not going to be possible at this race.
Here they come. Ush trying his best to maybe divert their attention elsewhere right now, but here comes COL right down that mid lane. Early Viper Strike going to get rid of that Linken's, but Ush has to step back and look at Ziz. He's going right for the throne. Now they're able to dish out the Primal Roar, but it doesn't stop Ziz. Ziz has one thing in mind, and that's finishing this game. Here comes Swindle with the rock drop onto Ush. The secondary one off to the right-hand side for Chad as he tries to get off the Death Ward, but it's going to be canceled, and it looks like Complexity are going to be taking game number 1 against NAR in this best of 3. What a play from them.
Yeah, this was one of the most fun games I've been able to watch. Like, I was stuttering over myself trying to get out everything that I wanted to. I mean, there's just so much going on in every single fight, and for Complexity to be able to win that, there were time periods where I was like, okay, they've just lost the game. Like, they weren't able to push. They got only 1 set of racks. NAR going to hit right back, but then all of a sudden they get 1 or 2 pickoffs. They fight as close to perfect as they possibly can. They're able to hold their own base several times. I mean, that's about as good of a game 1 in a best of 3 that you want to get.
I know we have 1 more game to go, at least, possibly 3 here. This has already been a winded series. I am sweating, if you can't tell it is right now. But hey, joining us right back in the studio to our right-hand side, we have the lovely Hani and Purge back, frantically taking notes. Gentlemen, what were your impressions in game number 1?